Adham Salem. I'll be demonstrating the heart rate application that my group was working on, and then I'll be demonstrating, I'll be showing the part of the code that I was responsible for. So first, starting with the demo, I'll fill the patient data, and like the patient ID and age are restricted to numbers only. Name can be alphanumeric data. And then the radio buttons, start the graph, now I'll stop it, start again, and hitting multiple times on run doesn't change anything, continues to plot, and stopping multiple times of stop doesn't do anything. We also implemented a landscape layout. The part that I was responsible for is the part that generates the random samples in a background thread and then passes a message to the UI thread to be represented on the graph module. So the HR values is the array that holds the samples, and on start of the UI activity, I create a thread, generate a random number, and then add it to the HR values array. It also takes care of the case when the HR values array is full, and it shifts the array and then adds the new sample to the top of the array, and then it obtains a message from the handler and sends the message to the handler, which is implemented as part of the UI activity. The handler itself overrides the handle message function, and once it receives a message, it formulates the HR values array from the float format into a series, which is then passed to the graph to be presented on the UI.
Hi, this is Ganesh. I'm part of the Health Monitor project implementation for mobile computing class. For this assignment, I implemented. I worked on GUI implementation. I mainly worked on creating these buttons and text editors and the radio buttons. I worked on implementation of radio groups, and I also worked on implementation of landscape design for this project. I worked on start and stop button listener. So this code is a part of a listener for these buttons. This ultimately calls the start graph and stop graph function, which control the each running flag, which is responsible for plotting the graph.
Hi, this is Nikhillesh Sadassivam, and I'm here to explain my part of the health monitoring project. I have been working with displaying the graph along with Harsh, and I've been working on using the MC Android chart library to display the graph. So here in this code, we declare the MC chart library and all its attributes, such as setting touch enabled, drag enabled, grid drawable, and all. And we declare a line data to receive the data, and also all the x-axis attributes and y-axis attributes. And once all this is done, we create the start plot function, and the start plot function actually includes the thread function which Adham has implemented, and here it calls the add entry function. And the add entry function actually creates a line data and also checks if data is null. If not, it creates a set, and if the set is not null, then I create a set which actually contains all the parameters for setting the line graph attributes. And then once both are set, we add the data entry from the random number generator thread, and then add it to this data entry and move it to the chart. So unfortunately, this was giving a few errors, and before we could fix it, Harsh was able to implement the graph view using the graph view library, and so we have to discard this parallel work.
My name is Group-Lalwani. So my basic task was to implement the graph that shows the heartbeat, and how we are doing is that we are using a third-party library here. Let's see how a simple graph works. So these lines, you just add these lines to the XML layout, and it pops up a layout for the graph. And what do you do in the activity main is you just initialize a graph, pass some data points to it, and then it just adds everything in a form of a series, and so you see the graph just like this. So everything we are doing here is in the handler. So once we get the random points, we just create a data point and then shoot all the random points in a new data point and send it to the series. So it holds all the x coordinates and the y coordinates here. The x coordinates is the I and the offset, and then the HR values, which are the random values that we are getting. We are just creating a axis, just setting every time the maximum and the minimum for the x-axis. So this offset is shifting the graph a little further, so every time the array is full, it just adds an extra offset value at extra +1 value to the x value and the relevant y value, and just sets the x's back again. So we run this project, just write ID, an image, then my name here, and then I'll click run. So when you see run here, so you see the graph moving, and the range you see here is 0 to 50. So now as you see, this graph is moving and changing the labels for the x-axis from 40 to 60 and so on. So guys, this is my implementation for the graph, and we are successfully able to do it. Goodbye.